Well, we've got a huge group here today. Cammy, Tanya. That was almost a Tammy and Kenya, but um, here's a thought: March 8th. Y'all want to go out and eat somewhere? I'm thinking that we go to Old Seas somewhere like Central, and we give Stephanie Bivens the check for lunch. Cammy, you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Tanya, you in? Count of 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll count her in. Her meal's covered as well. I think we need to change this up. We need to do some in-person. Oh, Tanya's on the phone. No worries. I would love to get the Directors Network in person at least maybe once a quarter. Maybe find that perfect month in a quarter and do an in-person. The Zoom is convenient, but I think it'd be great. I just came out of the Mesa County meeting, kind of the planning meeting, and we talked everything childcare, everything providing support for families and stuff. And it was really great. So let's get back in person for some stuff here. So I just sent a message to Miss Stephanie Bivens to see if she'd pick up the tab for us. There's money out there. There's got to be money to pick up the tab. If not, I'll pick it up on my consulting contract. How's that? That sounds good. I'm in. You in, Tanya? Can I buy you lunch?
All right, I'm off the phone now. Sorry, guys.
All right.
There's so many of us on here today. Huh?
I know, right? So we've already decided we're doing lunch March 8th. Let's go to Old Seas. How does that sound? They've got that little meeting room in the back.
That sounds delicious.
All right. I'm going to present Stephanie Bivens with the check. And if she doesn't cover it, I'll put it on my tab and I'll send it to the county for me. So sound good? So if you're watching this on Facebook, shame on you. But you still get to join us and we'll still pick up your tab for March 8th. So we'll be in person March 8th, Old Seas. See you at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock? Okay.
All right. It's official. I would love to talk about sustainability. We've got a lot of money that's getting thrown out there for workplace and for your center sustainability. And let me share my quick thought, and then we'll hear yours, and then let's dive into how we're going to spend this money. My thought is we need to take these funds and use them to get the biggest bang. We want to get the biggest bang out of these funds. We don't know if they're going to be regenerated in the future. There's a little bit of rumor out there that that's intended, that there could be some more funds coming. But let's pretend this is one big shot of adrenaline in the arm. How are you going to get the biggest bang for your center and for your staff and for your families, right? In my mind, I want to get the biggest bang now and over the next 9 months when these funds are coming in. And I want to be careful I don't create programs that I can't sustain a year and a half from now, let's say, if those funds aren't available. So we could take this money and we could buy health insurance for all of our staff right now. But if this is the only surge of funds, what are you going to do in a year and a half when they're dependent on you and that health insurance if you don't have additional influx of money coming in? So not to discourage you from that, but think about affordable options that you can cover in the future if you don't have these funds. So how are we getting the biggest bang for the buck? Tanya, Cammie, do you have any thoughts before we dive into that about this topic or these funds or maybe your strategy that you're thinking about in your center?
Well, me and Karina have talked some and are looking at maybe doing some scholarships for parents and figuring out how it's best to do that. And then either some bonuses or maybe see if we can do like a kind of a retreat for the staff. Mm-hmm. She was finding out some stuff for sure on how the funding had to be used. So
perfect. Let's start with scholarships for parents. Let's start with that. Tanya, you go.
I was gonna say I don't really know that we've talked about exactly what we're gonna do yet. We're kind of we're not together a lot these days. She's not coming in. Right. So we haven't really touched base on that. I teased her and said if she ever needs to get rid of any money, that my bonuses are right there for her.
Yep. Right? Okay.
So, that's what I said.
Perfect. Cammie, you're first. You said scholarships for parents. This is the one that I've been thinking about, because they want you to spend 50% of the big number on families, right?
Right.
So here's one idea. I went ahead and announced to my families that their parental fees for CCAP are paid for the next 3 months.
Oh, okay.
Well, Cammie has someone that thought that was a great idea. I heard the screamer, and I'm with you, kid.
Right.
She likes to join in.
So I did a little video, imagine that, but you can do it just in print, and I sent it out to all my CCAP families, and I built a little item in my ledger so that I charged them, and then I created a credit that said something like Discovery Parental Fee Grant. Discovery Parental Fee Grant. So we care a lot parental fee grant, or whatever it is. And I took all their parental fees, and I'm like, okay, like Fruta is like $1,400 a month. I multiplied times 3. I know what I'm committed to for those families for the parental fees for the next 3 months. And I thought, well, let me see how this is received. I could have done it for 6 months, right? But I'll get a bigger bang out of my buck maybe if I come back in 2 months and say, hey guys, we're going to go another 6 months, or we're going to go 9 months, right? So
Yeah.
that was one of the very first things I did, is cover the parental fees for 3 months. Okay, what about other scholarships for parents that are private pay? Do either of you have any ideas on what we might do for private pay households?
And see, that's what me and Karina were talking about, was how to help the private pay, since they don't get any assistance. And we're still talking about how we want to do that. If we want to cover a couple weeks tuition, or exactly how we want to do that.
Yep. So you could do 1 or 2 week tuition, right? Because you can total that up and figure out what that would look like. The first payment is supposed to be, I got to flip my calendar to February, this Friday, right?
Yeah.
So it just all depends on how people bill. I thought it'd be cool to do if we were going to do like a week, do like Valentine's, like Happy Valentine's, families. We just covered everybody's 1 week tuition. Or do it on a holiday, something like that. Be fun. If they're 3 days a week, then I'd cover those 3 days. If they're 5 days a week, I would cover those 5 days. In my mind, that's how I would spend it, instead of giving everybody 5 days, right? Because your parents that are full-time have a bigger tuition bill.
Right.
So covering tuition for a week or 2 weeks. You could do a week now and a week later, or you could do 2 weeks now, right? How else could we, as far as from a tuition standpoint, any other ideas on that? Coming from this county meeting, we talked a ton about PCF. We talked about quality, and one of the comments I made was, I feel like providing quality from a center standpoint is meeting your family's needs. That's quality. I don't care what rating you have or how many stars you have or don't have. If you're meeting your family's needs, your children's needs, that's quality. So if you have a family that's struggling with buying diapers, providing a diaper scholarship would be meeting their needs, and I think that's quality. What else could we do for our families from a quality standpoint, from a meeting their needs standpoint, with some of these dollars? And so maybe it's just having staff be attentive and reach out to families that they know that are struggling a little bit, because your teachers are having those conversations, right? They're having the conversations with the parents about money's tight or the babysitter dropped out on me. I had to be off of work. I need diapers. I need spare clothes. I think we're all multitasking. That's okay.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
That's exactly what we're doing. And usually there's more of us on here so we can do it very efficiently. It doesn't seem efficient today.
I know. Hey, listen, we could all just, I could end the meeting. We could just go down to Old Seas right now if you like. Maybe.
If only I didn't have to work on the floor this afternoon.
I got you. Yeah, I'm just thinking household needs. What can you do for the family, even beyond monetary, right? Like one of my staff mentioned, well, maybe we could give them some absent days or some medical days. But can you sustain that? If you say, oh, we're going to give everybody, now I know We Care a Lot, it gives everybody like 5 absent days a year or something like that. If you...
we give 2 a month and then right. 10 doctor days. 10 a year, so if they bring me a doctor's note, they can get 10 waived a year.
Okay, you got it. But for you to say, let's say you double it. Let's say you do 4 a month and 20. Are you going to continue doing that next year and the year after that?
Not if we didn't have the funding for it.
That's
no.
right. So my advice is don't do that, right? Only do things that are sustainable. Just give them that shot in the arm of thank you, and the things that are going to help them the most, things are going to help you the most. So, you know, one of the things I've started looking at families that have fallen on hard times that are still with me. I've looked at, you know, kids that have been new to our program or that have been out a lot lately. They had a lot of absences, and I've been going a lot of case by case, and I've got a little spreadsheet. And so that if I have a family and they've been out like half the time in the last month and a half because of COVID and stuff like that, and they're communicating, I've reached out and said, hey, how about I'm gonna give you credit for those days to help you guys out. So I would encourage, as a director, to be thinking about those case by case stuff, because you're gonna put that money where it's really needed if you're reaching out to those case by case things, and that's sustainable. You don't have to do that, you know, for everybody. So that's just an idea. Any other thoughts on what we could do to help families?
Maybe even help cover like diapers or something for them, you know, supply that kind of stuff for some of those kiddos.
Okay, so you could have your infant, toddler, your young threes staff, maybe either in a newsletter or in a love note. How about love notes? How about we create love notes, and it says from We Care a Lot and, you know, your child's teachers. If we could help you with diapers, formula, wipes, or something else this month, what could we do for you? And maybe it's a dollar figure. That would be the easiest, right? If we had a dollar figure, maybe you go on a shopping spree, you know, and a love note for Valentine's Day. We have time. We have 5 days to give your parents love notes. I love this, right? What can we do for you? And some of your parents can be like, I'm good, right? So we need to put the money where the money needs to go. All right, Dusty. So here's what we're talking about. How do we use the sustainability funds to impact the families in our program that need the help the most? So we talked about, Tanya said, hey, maybe buy diapers. So that's turned into creating a love note from Little Blossoms that says, from Little Blossoms and teachers, how can we help your family on Valentine's Day? Check the box. Diapers, wipes, formula, a gift card for City Market or whatever it might be. And because the families that are not needing that financial help are going to be like, oh my gosh, how sweet are you? Oh, Dusty Cheryl, love you, right? They're going to be like, how sweet is that? Then some families are going to cry because they're going to be like, oh my God, right? They're not, they can't recover from Christmas or their credit cards or their car broke down. And you really go, a gas card or a City Market gift card or whatever, and they could check that box. It's an idea.
So, because I am joining a little late, so sorry about that. So with the sustainability funds, is that, so it was, the way that I read it was like tuition assistance. Are we talking about that can be like broader, like any kind of assistance, or does it have to specifically be tuition?
Absolutely. I don't believe for a minute that it has to be, yes, when you read it, it says, oh, how about reduce your fees?
Right.
Put me in the corner. I say, don't do that. That's not sustainable. We're trying to create quality, sustainable, growing childcare. If you reduce your fees now and the grant runs out, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to increase your fees again. I think we put the money in the hands of our families that are in most need. Because we all have affluent families they're going to be like, oh my gosh, no, wow, sweet gesture, but I'm okay. Could I sponsor a family? You might even put that on your love note. Would you like to sponsor a family? You might be surprised. I would be. But no, I think, I'll read the grant again, but no, if you submit to Carly or Daisy or whoever, and you go, hey, I'm going to buy diapers for all of my families in my toddler room, they're going to go, oh my gosh, what a great idea, right? That's what they're going to do. So that's what we're talking about with the love note. Then the families can be like, oh my gosh, thank you. Are you kidding me? This would be wonderful. And then put an explanation, right? So they know that money is not being taken away from the teachers or taken away from your program or taken away from the classroom, So, yeah. So we talked briefly about covering parental fees as an option, maybe discounting a week or 2-week tuition. If you did more than a week, I would spread it out. My opinion, I would, if you can get your act together, do it on Valentine's Day. Do a week of free tuition on Valentine's Day or another day, or let them plan for it. I like the love notes, though. Okay, how else do we help our families with this influx of funds? Well, let's circle back to that. If you have a family idea later, let's circle back. Let's go to the staff. So we talked about bonuses. So I was in Florida in January, and it was beautiful. It was 72 degrees, shorts, T-shirts. I was like, oh my gosh, why Colorado? Anyway, I came back. But while I was there, I was talking to someone that's been in childcare for 32 years. Family business, and he said that Florida just passed their second teacher stipend. $1,000 went directly into their teachers' accounts, bank accounts, in the state of Florida for all preschool childcare workers in Florida. So they did one round of 1,000 and a second round of 1,000. I'm just going, oh my gosh! And that was right before I came back, and the sustainability grant thing came out, and I'm going, wow. This is going to be awesome. So we could do a bonus. So how would you bonus your staff? You have staff that have been with you 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, 6 months, and 3 weeks. How do you bonus them? Any ideas?
I would almost think to make it some sort of fair, kind of going off of years worked. You'd have to find some sort of figure on how to make that more fair, but I would say definitely using years of experience depends on where it is, or have like a beginning for so long and then something like that.
Okay. Yep. Mainly focused on administration. Tanya, would you agree?
What, like the bonuses for administration?
Yeah, a little heavy on administration.
Well, yeah, so I've been here 14 years. I'm the one here the longest.
Okay, there we go. So,
I mean, so by years, I'm the highest.
Yeah, of course you are. So I love hours. Like I can remember years ago, I took out like $1,000 and I divided it up by how many hours everybody worked. So, it started off with some new staff and I kind of started like $25. So they got $25 and then it went to 50 and 75 and 100. And all of a sudden, here's the couple of heavies in there, So you can do that. You can print a report on how many hours all your staff have worked and then kind of tie a number to those hours, add it up at the bottom, and how much you're going to bonus your staff based on hours, or you could do years as well. It's a good idea. What else?
Because we have an issue with
Sherry had one.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said, how about attendance? Because we have an issue with attendance.
Yeah. So we do too. Everybody on here has an issue.
I think
with
we
attendance.
all do.
Everybody. So I was really struggling. Like I went, okay. And our schedule is such that when somebody doesn't make their shift, we paint their hours red and put a line through it. Just a simple Excel Google thing, so that we can always look back. I could literally look back, Sherry, and I could see Stephanie, and I could go back and I could put hash marks on all of the shifts that she's missed in the last 12 months. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to stick it to her because she doesn't show up for work and she keeps saying, I want to go home. I want to go home early. Can I please leave? I don't feel good. I have an upset stomach. And I just wanted to stick it to her. But then I went to this meeting with the county, and who was sitting next to me? Mindy. And she goes, it was Mindy from Wishes and Dreams, right? Am I saying it right? That's Mindy, right?
Yeah.
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 And she goes, if you make a policy or an incentive and if you're clear with them, be very clear. Set your expectations and be clear and then reward them. And I'm like,
Doesn't work.
There you go. Go forward. What'd you just say?
Doesn't work. Been there, done that.
Well, and I have too, but I'm just looking for hope. I'm being an optimist on here. So we have, for example, a staff development meeting in 2 weeks on President's Day on the 21st. So we're going to be closed. We're going to be going to Axology and we're going to throw axes with our staff. This was planned. We did our first one last year, which was fun. So this one should be more fun because we're throwing axes and doing some cool stuff. But my thought is creating for example, a 10-point accountability and kind of liked what I called it. Staff performance and accountability. I also talked to, what was his name? The guy that wrote the book, Child Care Millionaire. And he had a 10-point system for bonusing out like his directors or his administration. And they would grade them on all these different things. So on the first of the month, is your newsletter done? Is it hung up? Is your planning done? Is it hung up? Have you turned your plans in on time? I'm going to make 3 notes of classroom observations throughout the week. We use Class Dojo for parent communications. I'm going to check that once a month and look at your communication. I'm going to grade your room once a month randomly for room cleanliness. And the big one, attendance and coverage communication. So if you create, it's fair for us to be able to create expectations of our staff. That's fair. Like I know not all teachers think that's fair, but it's fair. And I blame their parents for them not thinking that's fair.
That's called employers and a job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey.
Right. Yep. And so if you don't think that's fair, I saw a really good video on what is the thing we scroll up on? What is that one? It was when an officer pulls over a Gen Z, for texting while driving. Refer them to that if they don't think it's fair. But if we create clear expectations and then we follow through, the adulthood should say, "Hey, I earned it or I didn't." Either it is or it isn't. And so
that's the perfect world, Kurt.
Listen.
The perfect world of hope.
Debbie, hey Debbie.
But I like it.
You don't scare me a bit. Because I've worked with so many Debbie Downers in my life that I'm not startled by you at all at this moment. So bring it on. I live with a realist and a pessimist. If I open that door, you can talk to her, but she refuses to go on camera. Okay? That's my balance. Okay? So fortunately, you have Miss Tanya, who is your balance, because she's the smiley one going to be on the floor today, going to make sure everybody's happy. And if they're not, she's going to give them a little bit of something, maybe a jolt or a little bit of encouragement, maybe both. So,
like glitter in the pocket to make them happy around here.
Well, then maybe it's time to do that.
No, see, Tanya has to put on her smiley face, and I get to deal with all the bullshit on the back end here. So, and today is one of those days that I could do without them.
Well, you should have came to our meeting because we had a great meeting at the county today. Probably one of the best ones. I actually left there selfishly with like all these great ideas for me. Huh?
What was the county meeting?
It was, we just kind of a big representative of people from PCF and licensing and I forget what the title of the meeting was. I should probably know.
I was like, I know about one.
It was, what day is today? The PCF 2022 stakeholder meeting. But my point was there was a lot of good ideas.
Oh,
and
I thought that was yesterday.
It was today.
Oh.
And
Okay.
I'm gonna keep sharing those good ideas with you, Debbie. So all right, so stay tuned for more. So think about if you could grade your staff on 10 points. The problem is it requires a lot of work to follow up to do those 10, right? But if you have an administrator, which Debbie, I know you do, she's on the call here, you give her a list of those things and just create a little grading scale where she can go around. And for me, it forces my administrators to go around. It forces my staff to expect that we're going to go around and do a little white glove inspection. Okay, it's work, but so is trying to motivate your staff on a daily basis. So I want to try. I will report back to you. I'm going to try to create clear expectations and then follow through. The other advice I got was, and you'll like this, treat them like a child. I knew you'd like that one.
That's kind of...
And it wasn't meant derogatory, which thoughts come to mind. What's that?
I have weekly bonuses right now going on.
Good.
That I have gift cards for them. If they do certain things with their job, I give them money. And you know how many people have gotten this since I started it in December?
How many?
2. I have a staff of 11.
Okay.
2.
Just
But now that's not
But
very
we're
fair because half of them don't even qualify for that thing though. That's just your back half 4 qualify for that.
So, but
Okay.
so there is incentives and there is things going on.
It's
just rough because they're not wanting.
There's a little diamond in there, Stephanie, what you just said, the weekly bonus. Here's the thing, is employers and industries some pay weekly, some pay bi-weekly, some pay monthly, right? The hardest jobs on the planet pay weekly. That motivates them on Friday to come back to work on Monday. This is a fact. The next group of industry and jobs pay biweekly, and that's the majority. Okay? Because they figure after 14 days, we better reward these employees so they come back on Monday. And then there's industries and jobs that they can pay monthly. Think about it. Those are government type jobs with pensions and benefits and stuff like that. And they go, we got to pay them at least every 30 days to get them to come back on the first of the month. A lot of our work is a grind. And so the weekly benefits might be a sweet key. So maybe you need, if it's not working since December, then maybe it's time to retool it. But I like the weekly benefit. I like the Friday, you got this done, because then you train them, right? Why try to train them for all these expectations over a month? So maybe you roll out a plan for your staff where you go, okay, for the next 2 months, we're going to do this weekly thing. But set the expectations here. Where am I at? Right there? Don't start up here, or else you're going to get none out of 11, or maybe 2 out of 11. Maybe you just start them small and give them incentives, and then it comes back in 2 months and it goes again. So Cheryl's got a good idea. What is it?
Sherry?
Sherry.
Oh,
I'll let Dusty talk.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're trying to do that we just implemented in the month of February is we went and bought each site a set of like pots and pans from the Pioneer Women, like a big 12-piece set. And so we're choosing a goal every month. So this goal for February is attendance. And so any staff members who meet that goal the one who has the best attendance will either win the set or be put into a drawing to win the set. And so every month we're going to pick something, and we decided to do like an object, something big, something heavy, something they can see every day when they walk in. And it's not amazing. It's not a new car, but it's just something to kind of help with like positivity and, and kind of the atmosphere. And so I can report back on that too, as we're progressing through that, and like how that's working for us. And my other thought too is, I created an entire grading system, just like kind of like what you were talking about, Kirk, with it's in a Google assignments document, like for teachers with students, and that we use for like our 90-day reviews. It is called the 90-day review. So at the beginning of the review period, ideally, we would give notice that we're going to be doing the review. And then at the end of the review period, they're actually graded based on their performance with lesson plans, newsletters, attending staff meetings, all of those things. And the biggest issue that we have found with that is the follow through. Like you were talking about, I have a really hard time with that aspect of it. So like we've built systems, but they're not in place. They're not running or working right now. And so that's kind of where we're at on those aspects of it. And another thing too that I'm considering is actually using like a Google Classroom to assign assignments to teachers, like upload your lesson plans here, with due dates and that kind of thing, that our administrators can use to create those assignments in a place that the teachers can turn them into to kind of help with some of that follow through. So that they're not going to each classroom and collecting them. They're, a place that has a due date. It notifies them via their email, when their due date is coming up and all of that fun stuff. So those are just some of the things that we're thinking of and or trying to implement right now.
I love your ideas. Question for you. How has that been working for you in the past?
We don't have any past.
Okay, cool.
There's no past.
I don't think that money can solve your problems. Not all of them. But I do believe an influx like we have right now, if it's used strategically, could fix some of them, can fix some of the problems or change some of the behavior of the staff that are capable of changing their behavior, right? So let's say you go classroom A or teacher A. If this is uploaded to this portal by this time, then there's a $200 bonus for having that done. And you train them. It's just like working out that muscle. If someone paid me $100 to go to the gym a day, I'd probably go to the gym. Like, I would. So if it's $100 for them to have their newsletter done and their planning done and all that kind of stuff, it's just a matter of being creative on how to motivate them to get the work done you need them to get done, the work that they should have been getting done in the past. It's about being creative. So I like the monthly physical prize. That's fun. And that's a drawing, like a lottery, right? And, oh, here's the thing. So some of us have, like Debbie, she has her A1 director, Miss T, and she relies on her with, Tanya has boots on the ground, right? And let's say, I mean, I don't know any of Tanya's flaws at all, but let's say she has one. Let's say follow through with her classrooms. Let's say she's not looking at her staff's newsletters and planning, and she's not observing circle time and those kind of things. Now's the time to motivate Tanya with, hey, listen, there's going to be a $500 bonus a month if all of these checklists get done for all 6 classrooms. Okay, so I want them, and now Debbie's got to make that checklist. All right, or maybe she delegates that to Tanya and make the checklist, and then I want to see that turned into me once a week. And when I show up on Monday morning, it's either uploaded and then you get the check for that week, and that's great. So I want to know you've observed circle time. I want to know you've done this, this, and this. You've done it cleanly. You're going to rate their room cleanliness on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, 1 being not good. And then that's how Tanya, so use this to train, Stephanie could use this money to train Tanya to do her job better and to develop that muscle memory of going in the classrooms. Dusty, you have to have somebody that you got to rely on to be going into classrooms and doing some of the stuff you have to do. I know you have 2 administrators in Tiny Bloom.
Full site.
Right? Use this to train them, but be clear, set your expectations, and they either get it done or they don't. There's no excuses.
Yeah, and a lot, like for us right now, is separating the roles and responsibilities that I had, and separating them and delegating them out to other individuals, which would free up my time and Sherry's time and availability to be able to house some of that follow through. So that's something that we're already kind of working on with our directing teams, is getting them to take over some of those on-site directing things that we've been doing, to move into more like administrative versus directing.
Yeah.
I think that this could be really, really helpful with that.
I have another thought. I know that you and Sherry are partners. Let's forget this partner junk for a minute, because you guys have different roles. Let's make Sherry your boss. Okay?
That's fair.
I am anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
Why don't you and Sherry make a deal, make a promotion for you? Because in the grant, owners, directors, officers can also receive financial compensation. Okay? Everybody that's on this call right now has a concept of how hard and how much time you work, Dusty, and how many directions you're pulled and how much stuff you're doing. Because at times you suck at delegating.
So, yeah, I do. That's my worst.
No, I know this. Yeah. I've had these conversations. So Sherry, as your boss, is going to give you a bonus to get this done, to get this delegation done. How about that? Okay, Dusty, would you work for that? Figure out what number is going to motivate you to get your job done, so you delegate and create these checklists for your administration, your assistants, your team. What's that?
We already have done that. We already separated the actual jobs for each of the co-directors at both centers.
Got it. But follow.
It's just the implementing them.
It's the implementing them and
perfect,
making sure.
Perfect. So that's done. You get a bonus, Dusty, for implementing them. and following through. Because as entrepreneurs, we all have ideas, but the implementation, the follow through is hard, because by the time it's time to follow through, we have more ideas. And so we start chasing more squirrels across the desk.
Yeah.
So bonus yourself out for doing your job. There's a lot of things I could do better.
Like that.
I just choose not to prioritize my time to do better at those things. Sometimes. Okay, yeah, you got to figure out how to bonus. But back to what Stephanie said, the weekly thing, it is true in our business. Like staff, like see Friday, and they're like, "Thank God it's Friday," and Monday comes and they're struggling. So I love that. That may be my biggest takeaway is start small. Start small. Start with weekly rewards for your staff. What's going to get them to get to the gym? You know, as a figure of speech.
And that's what we're trying is those weekly, like we have to do, you know, we do checkpoints and we do some stuff in TS Gold. And that's how this all started. That was my testing theory. If I put this carrot out there, because they all do Starbucks, they all walk in with their Starbucks every day and they want cash. So I did visas and, let's see, I got Freeway Bowl cards, I got visas, and I've got Starbucks. And, you know, they can choose by completion. They have to complete every day checkpoints.
Stephanie, I'm going to say something. I'm gonna sock you in the jaw, and then I want you to give it back to me because I got so many weak points. I'm an easy target. You said you did this in December, and we got 2 staff out of 11. Okay, then I go back to you. You didn't set it up right. You didn't do something right.
No.
How do you get 9 out of 11? That would have been success, right?
Correct. And that's where Tanya, that's where I've been, well, not Tanya, I've been talking to Tanya briefly here and there about other ideas of what we needed to set up. I'm similar to you. I'm off the floor more than I'm on the floor. And some of it is follow through and some of it is imposing to my directors how to follow through and how to impose some of what my ideas and visions are. And that's where somewhere I faltered in that. I have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, this is what you need to look for. This is what we need to encourage. This is how we need to like re-implement this from a director level to hopefully get the staff to buy into the employee level of completion. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It started with me. No, it absolutely started with me. I had an idea and I thought it would be an easy one to implement.
Yep.
And it was not.
Yep.
So now I'm going back now with this stipend that's coming through. I've actually been sitting and working on my own checklist, which is funny that you brought that up because I've got my own little to-dos that I've been doing. Attendance is a huge one. As you know, my center is divided by pods. So in a weird way, it's not just about, I'm not going to penalize one employee because another calls in, but there's got to be some accountability from the employee to the employee.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm trying to build in some of that into this checklist, if you will. You know, and like I said, attendance being the biggest one. And then completions, you know, completions of chores. Each teacher is required daily to sanitize and wipe their shelves. And I can tell you how many times that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's an easy one to check. That's an easy one to check every day.
Yep.
So it's going to get checked, you know, and you miss it, you're out for the week. Start over next week, you know, kind of thing. There's going to be some sort of a leveling of accountability. And it's not going to, I usually am that, okay, here's your chance, try again, you know, kind of gal, but I'm not going to do that with this. This is, you know, they're going to have, and I'm focused on 5 areas that they have to complete per week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start there. And it's going to be a simple 5, whether I focus on straight attendance that, you know, you encourage your team to be on time and show up to work every day and not complain about leaving because I've got one employee. She's a stellar, great employee, but it's literally
Yeah. She needs a raise.
How many?
She needs a raise.
Oh.
Because she's not making her bills, but she's always getting out on time.
Oh, she can't. She's the first one. And if somebody says, you got to go, she'll go, I go.
Yep.
She volunteers. And then I hear the backside of it of, I couldn't even make my bills because my check was crap.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
you gave me a good idea. Like you said, your program's divided up in pods. You talked about like the toddler area, the preschool area.
Mm-hmm.
So what about pod incentives? We're talking about attendance. So what if you did pod incentives? So in my program, I've got I've got pods of 3 staff. I got micro pods, and then I got bigger pods, right? So, but let's break it down real simple. Like in Fruta, my Todd staff, I have 3 main teachers. That would be a pod. My early preschool, I have 3 teachers there. Preschool 3, school age 3. Let's say there's support staff. And let's say that every pod, micro pod, that has perfect attendance, you could say for the week, maybe we need to start small, grow it to 2 weeks, grow it to a month. That pod all gets an incentive. So if Debbie, Debbie's on the call today. If Margaret in Todd 1 is sick, and Margaret then is incentivized to reach out to her other 2 to figure out who's going to trade, who's going to do what, right? They're all working together to get Margaret's shift covered. And they go, don't call Dave, don't call the director. Let's get it figured out ourselves. Look at the sub list. Okay, we're all working together to figure out who's going to come in for Margaret that day. If they can handle that, and or they can't figure it out, but they have proper communication, proper coverage communication, meaning they come to me or an admin and say, hey, we've reached out to all of these 5 other options, and it's all a no, I need help. I wouldn't penalize them for that. But if they can get it, they do the work instead of going, Margaret's like, I have a headache, I can't function today, won't be in. That pod is out for that week or that 2 weeks. Because don't you want your pods, your micro pods to work together and go, hey, I know this was your day off, Cammie, but I'm sick. If you'll come in for me today, I'll work your Friday. Don't we want them doing that? Let's give them weekly incentives.
And that's where I'm going. And now with this stipend, so I'm looking at how to manage this on a weekly with my smaller like incentives, and then do a bigger one of, so, you know, your pod doesn't call in for the month, or you don't have any missed days that weren't approved. Now there's going to be vacations and there's going to be time off that was requested. That's a totally different off the subject. You know, I'm not going to penalize them for those, but you know, if your pod meets all your markers, you get an extra bonus at the end. And that's where that stipend I'm kind of looking at is going to come into play. Yeah. How to utilize some of that is, hey, you met your markers every week, so you get this. Or you met your markers 3 out of the 4 weeks. I'm still going to give you this. You get to 50-50. Yeah, I'm kind of sorry, I'm out. I'm kind of tapping out at that point of any extra bonus. I mean, same with you. I've set up my center to where they have, through our crew app, a channel that says, I need to be gone. I don't feel well. I that. Hey, can you get covered? Well, they don't. They reach out to Tanya directly and go, I ain't coming in. Good luck.
Yep.
So
now's the time
I like
to train
that.
them. Now's the time to train
exactly. Them. I like that reinvention of like, reach out. You work together. You get to your pod. Don't come to me.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
And if they say, Margaret calls Tanya, I don't feel well, I'm not coming in, your pod is out. You got to force them to work together. You're not taking money away from them. They're missing out on a bonus.
On free money.
On free money. Yep. And you just need to, get ready, have all your staff, have a spreadsheet so that you can go, met the markers. It pays out that following pay period.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And we've been paying out on Monday. Is how we've been paying out. We did a pod directive because it's only my toddlers that do have to mark their checkpoints and stuff. And out of 4, we're at 50% right now. I still can't get 2 to pull it off, but I'm at 50%, So I just raised the ante and I said, if because there's 2 classrooms that make that pod. I said, if 1 full classroom completes, then you get an extra.
Yeah.
I'll give you a bonus.
Oh, that's good.
And we're going to see, then I'm going to see if each other can push each other in the classroom, to do these daily checkpoints. And it's stuff they do in their job every day. It's just, they're not getting them done.
So let's keep talking about how we financially train, or how do we train our staff using these things. So coffee, you mentioned Starbucks. There used to be people that delivered. Are there still people that deliver coffee?
Starbucks will. They have you can do DoorDash.
So
my staff does.
Expensive, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh man. But maybe you do that, or maybe you send a director once, or an admin, someone, or even a staff member to go get coffee for the pods on Monday morning. Say thank you. You said you pay out weekly, and I like that weekly thing. You got to start short, right, for that muscle memory. So coffee delivery. What's up?
You use the quote, treat them like children. How do you teach a child to change their behavior? You don't look at the full day. You look at segments of their day.
Absolutely.
So I took it down to that, and instead of doing segments of a day, I did a week. Instead of saying it had to be, because I was looking at stuff for a month, and that was too overwhelming. So then we broke it back down, and I'm like, let's go for a week. We can do it for a week.
Right. Yep.
So
figure out what you need to retrain your staff to do. If it's clean better, put it on the list. If it's newsletters, put it on the list. If it's post into planning, if it's following the schedule, right? If they're skipping circle time and they're just free playing and then just going to lunch without washing their hands, and whatever it may be, if it's communicating with dojo, whatever you need them to do, I would put it on that 10-point scale, and I would start by rewarding them weekly. I think that's key. And then the other thing, like one of the things we've got all of our staff on a spreadsheet, so I know how many people have maxed out their PDIS trainings, at 15 for the ratings, and how many have all their CEUs. They've maxed that out, or they've got 5 CEUs and they can get more. And one of our CEU subscriptions through Child Care Education Institute online, CCEI, that expires on March 15th. So I literally have 5 weeks by the time I roll it out, 4 weeks. I'm going to give them a bonus for maxing that out, because I want to either get them to lead teacher, get them to that next level, whatever it is. And then you could bonus out staff that already have it maxed out. So think about bonusing them for that professional development, for getting their work done, so now you can utilize them as a lead. Because I have a staff member that has over 2,000 hours, but she doesn't have 20 points in professional development. She would be a lead, but she's not, because she hasn't done those courses. And she's right in the middle of doing her second CDA right now, because she didn't follow through with her first one. But all she has to do is knock out some on. So look at your staff and figure out who you can get to lead, who you can't, who you can get to a level 2 to level 4 if that benefits you, and monetize them maybe that way. Again, spreadsheet. Team building events. Go bowling. Set a bowling trip.